Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files here on the J Free 906 podcast channel. And welcome to a blurry Jeff and hopefully a nice, clear Mike tonight. Mike, how you doing?
Doing well back home, and hopefully I'm crystal clear.
You might have to take over for me tonight. Folks, I'm down here in beautiful Florida, but we had a massive thunderstorm went through just a bit ago. The internet here at this location I'm at is awful. If you were saw any of the video I did on Monday, it was pretty bad. But hey, I could have tried to use the Starlink, but with the tree coverage that's around here, I would be on great and then off. It would just kick me off when a satellite passed between a tree. And yeah, so I'll do my best. I know it's a bit unprofessional, but I think being here, at least being blurry, is better than actually dropping out and not being here at all from time to time. So thank you, folks, for being here, and thank you for putting up with this tonight. We've got one heck of a show to talk about. The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, Season 6, Episode number 7, Lights Out. And another good one. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, they're it's a fantastic season. They're really packing a lot into each of these episodes, and the ranch is just it's just misbehaving every chance it gets. It's like I said, it would drive me crazy. I don't know how Eric does it, and the rest of the guys. Eric's there all the time, of course, but boy, it's challenging,
Yeah.
but good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of good stuff. And, one of the things that I think is key in all of this, and we've talked about this night after night or week after week when we talk about these episodes, is the fact that they have the repeatability. And I know you've mentioned that many times as well, but the repeatability of the errors or the circumstances that they come across in their exercises is key when you look at it with a scientific method, when you look at it this way and you're applying um, the science that they put to it. Repeatability is key, and they're getting lots of that time and time again. So we'll go through this. Just wanted to give a real quick little shout out again. Thanks, folks, for being here with us tonight. If you have not already, we'd like to ask if you would please consider subscribing to the channel and also click on that notification bell when you can, because oftentimes we will come live with different information as things pop up, as news comes out. And also, if you like the content of the show that we do here for you tonight, besides the fact that I'm probably pretty blurry right now, consider giving us a thumbs up. Give us a like if you would, and tell your friends. We'd like to get this out to as many places as we can, of course. Yeah, very blurry. Yeah, sorry. Nothing I could do about it, unfortunately. So, but we'll make the best of it. So if you'd like to help to keep the show on the YouTube channel, there's many different ways you can contribute and donate to the show. Many of those are listed down below in the description, and we appreciate all of those, like the patrons we have on patreon.com. I appreciate each and every one of you, and those who do super chats and all that during the show or donate through the PayPal or Venmo. Thank you so very, very much. It keeps this thing going because unfortunately it does cost money. So we do the best we can to make it happen. So, all right, let's get started with it. And hopefully I don't have any video to show tonight because unfortunately the internet connection would not allow me to do much of that anyway. So let's get started. So Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, Season 6, Episode number 7, Lights Out. As we said, it was a really good show. Last night just blew my mind with many of the things that happened. And Christina, she's getting knocked out on her internet time and time again. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Jim Kelgard in his podcast, Soul of the Unexplained. Very good podcast, folks. If you have not checked that out, you should. He talks about a lot of crazy stuff. Also, Skinwalker Ranch. Check him out on YouTube, Soul, SOL of the Unexplained, and also Miriam. Miriam has been doing some really good stuff on her podcast. She just had Brian Arnold, the Dragon, on her show just a couple of nights ago. It was really, really good. They had some technical issues as well. Linda, if you could put the name of Miriam's up there, or Miriam, if you're here, you could put the name of your. I've forgotten, and I didn't write it down, but I just watched your episode 2. So if you could list Miriam's on there for people to see, so they can check that out. All right, sorry about that. I forgot. I wanted to mention that, and I had forgotten. So, all right. So last night they start out at the Mesa drill site, and it was great to hear that they are 170 feet, at least at this point of the season, 170 feet into the Mesa drilling. They said they hit a couple of hard spots, but they were, with much working at it, were able to push through and get beyond those spots and keep going. So that was really cool to see that they were able to get going. One of the things here in these pictures, there's the guys from the Mark Construction, the drill team there. Drill team, get that? If let's see, what was that? Oh, yeah, I didn't catch what she said there. What was she saying? What was Linda? Okay. Oh, okay. If I get an opportunity here, I'll try. Um, yeah, okay. All right. Yep, I will. So here's, you guys have seen this picture time and time again, but for those of you who may not, this is where they have the 2 boreholes going up into the Mesa. They have one up through there, and it's done. It's completed. It's lined with the, I guess it's Mike. It's a concrete type substance that's sprayed around
Yep.
there and hardens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a gel.
Mhm.
And they basically just kind of extrude it onto the walls, pull that kind of back bore like they did to try and open it up. Um, and they pump it in and pull the rod back through, and there's like a ball at the end, and it pushes the gel out onto the walls of the hole, and then that hardens to concrete, which, like Caleb said last week, it wasn't fully cured when they put uh, that pipe and Jan Franke's GPR down. So that was part of why it was so hard to get that pole that they were putting together down. So, but yeah, that's how that works.
Right.
I think um, the 170 feet is pretty remarkable given how much trouble they had last year getting borehole 1
I
done.
agree.
And
Yep.
from what I think I've heard both Caleb and Thomas say, he thinks they're probably not doing enough, giving the guys enough credit for the amount of trouble that they did go through, or
Yeah.
have been through on this borehole too. But it's I understand that boring holes may not be all that interesting. So Prometheus has to make some decisions, and so, but
Right.
they did say that these guys have been suffering just as much as anybody else that comes out to the ranch
I think getting
with
your butts
problems.
kicked was mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. So they're doing the best they can. They're working on borehole number 2, trying to get it up through there. And hopefully, well before the end of the season, we'll see that done and they'll get that one lined as well. I'd love to see them be able to get some kind of electronics in there, but that's what you
yeah,
see these little circles are, them getting the electronics in the hole. We did get to see Jan Franke get one of his GPR units at least part of the way into the Mesa and was able to get some GPR data, looking at some of that on the borehole number 1. And that it resulted in showing that there was some metal in there, possible, very likely metal
yeah,
uh, that was showing up on his GPR. So, data. So that is very interesting, is it not? I mean, metal in the
yeah.
Mesa, and you know,
And I think if Jan says it's metal, I think it's probably metal.
I'm
I and it was very close to the borehole, like a meter, maybe 2 meters. It was close, and in 2 different spots. But the reason they're making borehole 2 is they don't know which direction it is from the borehole. They know it's about 1 to 2 meters away from the borehole, but they don't know in 360 degrees, because that's just the way Jan's equipment works. So borehole 2 is pretty critical to be able to sort of triangulate, to figure out exactly which direction it may be. And, they could even put in transmitters on one borehole and receivers on the other and just kind of like do an x-ray, something along those lines of what's in between. So really hope they're successful with borehole 2. It is critical.
Okay, sorry about that. I was letting Christina know something here. Yeah, so it is. It's very critical, and I'm glad you brought that up because it helps them to triangulate. Here's a picture here, and hopefully all these pictures are coming through okay for everybody to see. If you look at these two pictures, you'll notice besides the guy is vacuuming out the spoils out of this hole here, which is the lubricant that they spray in off the head of the drill head is spraying in there to help them dig. Because everyone knows that if you're digging in your yard, if it's hard, it's dry, it's hard to dig. If it's wet, it digs much easier. So that's what they're working to. That's what they use this lubricant for. And it washes back down the hole, ends up in this spoils pit, and then they suck it out of there into this tanker truck, and then they get the spoils for later. You see this hole here to his backside right here. And what's Caleb had mentioned is that they're going in very close to each other, but they're going, and I'm assuming that's the old one. I don't know if it's the old borehole number 1. I thought maybe it was, but they're going in at a Y and making their way up around, right? Is that
that was a really good distinction, and I'm glad he said that. I'm surprised they're making that graphic that you showed incorrectly. That's not how the boreholes will be. They're not perfectly parallel. In fact, I think he made it sound like they were starting from the very same hole, but because they have so much control over that directional boring, they can steer it whatever direction they want, usually, as long as something incredibly hard.
So it's going more like this.
Yes, correct. That's what he said.
Than it is like these two straight lines. Yeah, exactly. So that's why, and because I was very curious about that because I was looking at it going, now wait a second, why is it looks like they're in the same spot. Here I am thinking that they're going to be moved over like this picture shows, this graphic shows.
Yeah.
And they're not. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're in the same spot. What's going on here? That's why.
I don't know.
Going up and around. Kind of like going around the bubble with the rockets going around the thing, instead of going through it.
Right.
So there he is. He's removing the spoils out of this hole here. And this is the tanker that he sucks them into the vac truck. I call him a vac truck. He gets them sucked out, puts them into there, and then they dump them. There's the different pits that you see right here where they're working through. I grabbed this particular picture simply because there were several pits that they're working with. So, and I saw a picture similar to this one here early in the season. And I thought, wow, how many drill holes are they doing? Well, we don't know for sure.
Yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh no, did they have to give up on multiple boreholes? But no, that makes more sense that's just where they're putting the spoils.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I think so. So that's a good thing. And here was the big thing, right off the bat, Steve, if I remember his name correctly from last week. And he was, when he was out there, and he's the archaeologist that's working on this. I'm sorry, Chris Roberts, archaeologist Chris Roberts. Tanya. Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Green goo. Every time I scream at my screen, do not touch it. Remember that movie, the monkey? Oh, yeah. Yes, don't touch it. But yeah, so right off the bat, he's finding this stuff here in this first load that comes through. And here's that picture that you're talking about right here from last season, 2023, where Brian's going, ooh, look at this stuff. And he's
Look at this unknown substance of unknown origin. Let me put it in on my skin. Really?
Mm, yeah. No. Yeah. What was that? Put that one back up. The people who touch the green goo clearly have not read the
Andromeda's
strain. Do not touch the goo. Yes.
good advice.
Always good advice to avoid the green goo.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there was Bryant touching it last season. And and this was the analysis that they had done last season about this, and they talked about the fact that abundant micro charcoal and organic and inorganic uh, that is it detrial detai I can't pronounce that word
Detritus. Detritus.
detrial detrial residue
Detritus, I
clay
think. I don't know.
nodules. Yeah, so yeah, so inorganic and organic materials found in there in that material. And so there it is, a closer look at it. You can see this was from last season when they analyzed it. And I'm sure they'll get this season's looked at as well to check it out and see what it's comprised of and see if detritus. Yeah, they pronounce the
Detrital.
Detrital in here, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But anyway, thank you, Jim and Mike. Bioengineering, yes.
Detrital refers to sedimentary
Oh,
rock and sediments composed of fragments of pre-existing rock and minerals, which have been transported or deposited by wind, water, or ice.
mhm.
So, sounds like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So I put a little message there to Maya. Maya was we were talking about this last night in Discord when we were watching the show in my Discord channel. And by the way, we check this out every Tuesday night. We're on Discord. I have a Discord channel. The link for it is down below. You can check it out. Hang out with us. We kind of get off topic a little bit when the rerun is going at 7 to 8. Sometimes we get off topic and talk about other stuff. But then once the show starts, we watch the show not on my Discord channel. Everybody watches it at home and on their own. And then during the commercials, we talk about it. Oh my gosh, look at what they just did. And then we have a great time, but we hang out on in Discord. So if you want to join us on Tuesday nights, there it is. The link is down below. Come join us and have some fun. And we'll talk about all kinds of fun stuff. Sometimes we get in discussions about ice cream. So whatever. But anyway, when the show starts, it's all about Skinwalker Ranch. So thanks, folks, for coming in here and talking about stuff like this. I appreciate bringing all these up. Here is there's another picture of those spoil piles. I forgot I had that in here. Very
Mm.
interesting to say the least. One thing too, and I thought I'm going to look back here because I thought I had a picture of a green material that was brought up. Oh, I have it mislabeled. I'm going to show this one real quick. If you remember, and I had not remembered this particular scene, this was from last season when they found that green goo last time. And the preview or the show prior to, well, this might have been the show where they found the green goo. But if you remember, Chris Portet, the retired Uinta sheriff, county sheriff, he was out there and he was talking to the team about I think it was materials that were found, like a spacecraft that I think he was talking about an actual spacecraft or
Yep.
something that was there on the ranch, and he was called out to come and look at it. And if you remember, he mentioned about the green goo, and this was before they found it in the spoils.
Yep.
Again, coincidence? I think not. So how was the blob? Yeah, right. How was that found in relation to someone having a sighting of a spacecraft, a UFO, green goo, and then they find it later in the season? They actually find some coming out of the mesa. What's that about? I mean, I
Seems
don't.
like a coincidence, and those take lots of planning. I
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that the goo itself is all that odd or anomalous. To me, it was they seemed to be more interested in that the stuff that was floating in the goo.
Yes.
Because I don't remember them necessarily specifically talking too much about the goo itself, other than it's just odd. But um, we don't know really what's underground there, and are there caves or tunnels and
Right.
underground rivers and other stuff. There could be algae and things growing, but it was the stuff that was in it, and that charcoal and burnt plant material inside the
Yes.
mesa. Um,
Yeah.
like I said, I've said before, to me, that sounds like a underground river is carrying materials into the mesa or under the mesa, and it's just getting stuck in certain spots. And we don't really know. Just we know that there are openings because we've seen the smoke disappear. We just in the last episode with the drill, they were losing water, the lubricant. So we know that there are cavities within the mesa. So who knows what all's going on in there at this point. But I do think that there seems to be avenues for that type of small material, the charcoal, to make its way into the mesa somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Maya and I were talking about this last time. Well, all of us were kind of talking about this. And then Maya, I'm going to bring up her comment here real quick right there. Could it be biofuel for a craft? Uh, yeah. I mean, why not? Right. So all possibilities are on the table at this point, right?
Yep, yep. You can't take anything off
So,
the table yet.
right. So, no, absolutely. You're gone for we have some of the funniest folks. I swear that's pretty good. I like that. Here's what I was when I was talking about the goo. One of the things that I had brought up about this stuff, and I'm going to bring this picture here back up, and they were talking about this. They mentioned a very intense heat that burned this vegetation or whatever it was that created this and put this micro charcoal in there, abundant micro charcoal. I had thought about two different possibilities, and I had mentioned this, and Dr. Taylor actually mentioned it on the show afterwards with Maddie Blake. But imagine either a spacecraft or B a asteroid or a meteor or something hitting the Uinta Basin and skidding into the mesa and going inside the mesa and then part of the mesa collapsing upon it. Now, if that happened, would it not have dragged some of the vegetation that's on the ground outside of the mesa into the mesa with it? And then, of course, that would have been very hot, right? So then I was looking at those two possibilities. I am leaning more towards the possibility that that might be what we're after here. Would that would a what you talk about a spacecraft would have metals? Probably. We don't know
Yep.
what alien spacecraft are made out of, but we assume metals of some sort. But also, an asteroid would not also carry metals, correct? I mean,
Yep. It would. It wouldn't. It wouldn't carry that layered metal that
no,
appears to have been manufactured. So that
correct.
would be problematic. But
That would.
from for it to be just an asteroid, but certainly an asteroid would have metal. Some of them are all iron. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I
So,
think I think you have to leave everything on the table, and all of those theories are valid
mm,
until proven not. So
correct.
we need more info.
Yeah, we definitely need more information on this. And then they're doing their best to get in there.
Yep.
And again, I had somebody in a comment the other day mention about blowing it up. Come on, people. You know,
Yep.
you're not going to blow it up. That's just not feasible. It's not the smart way to go about this. That's not the scientific method to get in there. Now, putting a case on down from Rock Equipment Company, that might be a little different, but not the not blowing it up. All right. So, you know, if they find more of this stuff, they'll get this stuff analyzed. We'll get to see what the makeup and see if it's the same exact. It looks the same, but is it the same as what they found before? I think it probably is, but we'll find out when we
Yeah.
get into further episodes. And why do we assume a crashed UAP craft is from another planet? So many other options like parallel universes, time travel, etc. Michelle, you're spot on. You're thinking the way I do about that. Um,
They,
could it even be from our future?
yeah,
We just don't know, do we?
yeah. You got to keep an open mind and be open to any possibility.
Yes, we do. All right. So moving on in the episode, they bring out the folks, Tim Anderson and his crew from New from New Salt Laser. The team comes out, and you remember these guys. They came out and they brought their laser space cannons with them. I love the laser space cannons. Um, was it John? Oh, John. Hey, John, how you doing? I'm telling you, it's the ship that future Travis accidentally warped into the Mesa. Yeah, it could be. All right, I got it. All right, that's pretty funny. All right, so but I love the laser space cannons. I mean, these things are so awesome. And here's the one from last year. And you remember the issue they were having with this thing from last year. Um, and it was mentioned. And again, I'm a little confused, and I'm going to have to bring this up. It's one of my questions that I want to have for the chips and salsa. I told Mike I probably wasn't going to mention this in the pre-show, but here I am mentioning it. Um, but I'm going to ask the question when I get into the chips and salsa, hopefully tomorrow night, and ask this question about the limit of these laser cannons because um, last year they came and they were talking about how it stopped lower than where it's supposed to go. And I don't know. My assumption was a laser beam when you're shooting it goes on into infinity. It goes into space, i.e. laser space cannon. What does it have a limit to its range? I just don't know. I need more information about this. And I'm going to have to go to new salt and laser and find out, .com and see if there's any information or find out more information about these. But do they have a limited height or distance that they can travel? Don't know. Um, yes, exactly. John K hit it exactly. One of this particular one they were talking about, they did not realize that the bubble, this was last season, 2023 filming. And they did not realize or did not have a conception yet of the bubble at 2,000 feet high and in radius. So they had it seemed like it stopped. And then Travis was talking about last night how it stopped about 2,000 feet. So and this is what I was talking about last week and maybe even mentioned previously. And I think, Mike, you've talked about it too, is things that happened in the past seasons that they did not have enough information at that time that now some of the evidence that are coming, the data is leading them to this bubble being there. And now they can look back and go, oh crap, remember when this happened? That kind of adds to the data of now talking about this bubble.
Yeah, the
So
laser, the
here's a
that laser hitting at 2000. Again, like you said, we've talked about this where that they noted that it stopped at 2,000 feet, but they really hadn't seen anything else or put two and two together on that 2,000-foot radius from the triangle. And this season they have. And so as they start going back and looking at things like the bottles that they found last week from 3 years ago, all landed, not the ones that they found landed, outside the bubble. So yeah, the laser shouldn't stop unless it's hitting something. And that can be, I mean, there really shouldn't be a defined range on a laser. But I think depending on how many watts it is or how powerful it is, you can maybe estimate how far it would go before. And the only reason you can see this laser in this picture is because there's particles in the air that the laser's hitting, and it's refracting light or reflecting light, is bouncing off those little particles and going a different direction than the laser, which the laser is pointing straight up. So, but as that laser hits those little particles and it scatters and sends light out to the sides, you're dissipating the power of the laser, and it will travel. It has less light to continue traveling, right? Because it's already been scattered. So it's hard to say how far they're supposed to go. I'm sure somebody smarter than me could look at the wattage and give some kind of an estimate. But theoretically, if it was in a vacuum, it would be infinite. It would go on forever. But it's those particles and like heat waves and things like that that would cause it to bend and refract and maybe start to spread. That will cause it to not continue or not have enough light particles in the beam to continue any further. So why it looks like it's stopping where it's stopping, I don't know. That's another puzzle that Skinwalker Ranch has provided us. So
yeah, Mike, might you have a prop to show us how this works?
oh, you mean like a laser? Sorry, yeah, don't shine it in your eyes. Don't look at the
Yes.
laser. There you go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see.
But
only
you can
because
see the particles passing through it.
yeah, my house is
Yeah.
dusty. Can you? Otherwise, you would not be able to see
Every
that
house
light.
is dusty.
You'd be able to see the light if it was pointed right at you, and you would be able to see the dot where it's landing, but you wouldn't be able to see the beam. It's only because it's striking things, particles, little tiny particles that are within the air, that you're able to see the actual beam itself. So,
Right. I have an example of that as well in this picture right here. And you can clearly see right here on this black background of his laptop, you can see the particles being hit by the beams.
yeah,
You can see it over here as well. See all those little particles. And that's a great explanation. And thank you for that, Mike. That's why we can see it right there. Very cool. Very interesting.
yep.
So, yeah, thank you for explaining that to us. That's just what we needed. They set these up into 6 different places across the property of the ranch. And you can see them there. Homestead 2, which is just out, the actual building is just outside of the bubble area. The Mesa drill site, which is inside. The triangle, of course. The arc is inside. The eastern bubble boundary, and then the east field. And I wanted to say, Wayne and Craig, thank you guys so much. What is Craig saying here? As I mentioned on Discord last night, mount one of the new salt laser on a vehicle or trailer and drive it through the bubble boundary several times. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
That's
I
exactly.
like that.
Yeah, thank you, Craig, for that. I think that would be an awesome. Now, you see in this one picture I've got that they've got to keep these things cool. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. They got to keep these things cool. They run liquid through them, liquid cooling, and here's your cooling unit over here running. They would have to come up with a way to do that on the vehicle, but I think that experiment is awesome. If they could do something like that.
Yeah,
So
that would be good.
Good shot on that, Craig. Thank you. And thank you for the donation. And Wayne, I saw that one pop up from you earlier. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it, guys. Really, really do. So, so if they could figure out a way to make that happen, that would be awesome. Here we got, you see Jim and, I've forgotten this gentleman's name here, but they're carrying their some of their equipment out to set it up out here. And here is Jimmy's out here putting some sort of an antenna. I'm going to assume that's some sort of an antenna he's mounting on the side of the. Is that the south? I think that's the south tower, is it not? I think that's the tower they built out there in the south.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, just outside the bubble in the south field. So that's he's getting an antenna there of some sort set up. There they are there. I think it's out in the south field, I believe. Yes, John K says yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, everybody's getting a good laugh here. I don't. I missed something. That cat's probably being, does that make him Magic Mike? Oh, oh, you're now a movie star, Mike. So there you go. And yeah, so here's a cool picture. Now you see that they're shooting 3 laser different colors into the sky there: green, red, and blue. Your 3 primaries. RGB, shooting those up into the sky, and it's really cool. And you heard, if you were listening last night, you heard Travis give a very good explanation of why they did the different colors, because they wanted to see how the bubble or the effects of the ranch would affect the different colors, if any of them would at all. So that's why they use the 3 different colors. It wouldn't, I wonder, I'm sure they have others, but your, red, blue, green are your primaries. So that's why they would use those in the first place to see. And Mike, were you talking about, I know we'll get to this later, but you were kind of talking about the spectrum of the red, blue, and green. If you want to mention that now, or we can wait, I guess. But
yeah, sure. The wavelengths of light, goes, it's the rainbow, right? So violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Red is on one end, violet is on the other end, and kind of in the middle is yellow, and then to the left of that is green. So, it's in the middle of the spectrum. I don't know why they saw more effect on the green laser than any other. The wavelength. We're talking nanometers. Violet's 400 nanometers, and red is 780 nanometers. Green is like 520 ish in there. It starts to change color as you go on, but so I'd be interested to hear if the guys have a theory on why the color green was affected more than the other ones by various stuff.
Interesting. And that, that plays into this somehow. Well, we're going to get to that as we go along here toward the end when they were doing the analysis in the command center. But yeah, pretty crazy, and how that's affected that way. It's funny that as they first fired up the laser at, they had the 6 different locations, but as soon as they fired up the laser at the arc, which is just inside the bubble, then they ended up getting this UAP shows up. And there was some video of it, and it was passing through the sky. They all saw it on the ground. Everybody's hollering and looking up at it as it was moving along. And I remember Eric saying that the ADSB did not show a plane in the area. So it's a UAP as far as everybody's concerned, because there was no way to identify what it was.
And no navigation lights.
Correct. Thank you. No navigation lights on it as well. So that was very significant. Glad to see that happening there. Also, Travis and Thomas were loading up some rockets, and they were working with Chris, also the archaeologist, and they were going out to 3 different locations to fire rockets inside and outside of the bubble area. This would have been Homestead 2, the drill site, and also the East Field to see if they could kick the hornet's nest a little bit. And here they are getting this one ready. This is over near Homestead 2. getting the rocket ready to go. Um, and one thing that happened, here's the lasers as they are firing off and going up into the sky. Really cool. Love to see that. One thing that Travis said, and I know, as you mentioned, Mike, that Eric has said it before as well, that correlation does not does not necessarily mean causation. So even though something is, seems to happen at the same time, like when they fire off this one laser, and then all of a sudden a UAP shows up, unfortunately, they can't say, well, one caused the other, you know. As you'll see throughout the episode, different lasers shut down at different times. And you can almost say that they seem to shut down when something is happening, as we will kind of talk about a little bit as we go through tonight. But again, that correlation is not causation, unfortunately. It'd be nice if you could say that, if you could nail it down. But yeah, so um, I love that. I love that statement as they go through. So here's a shot of the lasers from the south. I believe this is from the south field looking north toward the mesa, and you can see at least 5 of them there shooting. And also at the same time, you got Jim Royston. He's putting his drone up in the air so that he can communicate with it. And I wondered about this cord coming out of the antenna port of his handheld control unit. And my assumption with that is that rather than using an antenna, as most drones, you see your handheld unit would have antenna, 1 or 2 antennas sticking out of the handheld. He's actually connected to I believe, and help me with this if I'm incorrect on this, Mike, if you know more about this, but it seems as though he's connected to an external antenna with this. And I
Could
would
be.
assume that's because he wants to make sure he has a good, strong signal, which would make
Could
it
be.
better than the onboard antenna. I'm going to try to see if I can get more
That
information. Anybody in the chat, if you have any information on this, please share it. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
yeah, that could be. That certainly would certainly would make sense on Skinwalker Ranch to do that. The other thing that it might be, it kind of looks like an HDMI cable, granted a very fancy one.
Ah, uh-huh.
It
Yeah,
may be to display what he sees to the
could
production
be.
crew, so they can
Ah,
get video of it. But
you might
I
be
like the
correct. Yeah.
antenna idea. If that's possible to send it to an external antenna that's more powerful than
Yeah.
just the handheld that he's got. 'Cause, I mean,
Yeah.
that's got its limits too. Of course, it seems to work fine everywhere else on the planet, but for
Yeah,
the long term.
exactly.
So
Yeah. You might be correct. I made that assumption looking at this. I'm like, wow, it almost looks like,
that would be a
but you're
good
right.
idea.
It does kind of look like an HDMI cable, doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know. But I see that every single time that he's operating, he's got that plugged in. And I didn't know that they would have an HDMI out so they could, but that makes sense. That
Yeah.
it would be able to go to, they could hook it up and save the data from the screen that he has on there. So could be.
Well, we know
Another
we know a
question.
guy that's got the same drone though. So
Yeah, Pete Kelsey, where are you? Unfortunately, I think they're maybe filming right now. I don't know. I think the guys are busy
what?
right now. That's why we don't have anybody with us
They're
tonight because they're kind
unavailable.
of busy. Yeah, they're unavailable at the moment. So, but I'll have to reach out. I'll have to reach out to Pete and ask him about that and see what the reason for that cable is. So, yeah, it probably is. I don't know if it's HDMI or not. I want to find out though. But that makes sense. Okay, so as soon as he gets this thing up and flying, as you can see, yellow. Uh, oh, okay. I don't know, Michelle.
He
I'm
may,
not sure. He might
yeah,
have
maybe
been.
right,
Yeah, you
which would
might be
make
right.
sense that they're using a
Yeah.
cable to send that out.
Yeah, yeah, very good. Probably is. So you see here, this is the GPS that's on Jim's drone, and you can see that it's a nice, beautiful from takeoff and on its way towards the bubble boundary, and then boom, When he gets there, starts having issues. And on my notes here, I have written that Jim's drone loses connection with the controller as it reaches the boundary again. And something that was mentioned in the after show with Matty Blake was also the lights. He said the lights went out as well on the drone. That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in the Matty Blake show afterwards. Yeah, the lights went out as well. He said the connection to the handheld and the lights went out when he reached the boundary again.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, here's your 1.2 gig range. It's not exactly 1.2. And that's the thing, folks, that when we're talking about this 1.2, rarely is it exactly 1.2. They're looking at a spectrum with 1.2 in the middle right here. And it's a range going either side of 1.2. And they're watching that to see what happens. Before the experiments get going, it's just static across there. As soon as they start getting experiments, boom, 1.2 pops up and they're not transmitting it. And then right after that, or right during the same time, 1.6, they start getting 1.6 signals popping up.
Yeah.
So
And,
they're
like you
monitoring.
said, correlation is not causation, but
Right.
repeatability is key to being able to go from correlation to actually saying that it is causation. I mean, one anecdote is just an anecdote. 10,000 anecdotes tends or starts to become data. So
Yes.
that's why it's important to collect all this information, write it down. And, it's poor Eric because collecting data and storing data is easy. Analyzing data is brutal to go through. I know he has terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data, but that's where AI can certainly help parse through a lot of that stuff. So
Okay. All right. Looks like Tom brought up, went and did some research here. Uh, let's see. I'm going to try to bring up Tom's message here. Let's see. I'll click on it. All right. So, yes, you can manually link a drone controller to a standard antenna. Here are the steps and considerations. Connect external antenna. You connect the external antenna to the drone controller. So, we'll find out. Thank you, Tom, for that. Appreciate it, sir. Looking into that for us. Yeah. So, is it possible? Yeah, I guess it is, but we're going to find out. So, oh, there's Miriam. Hey, Miriam, how you doing? Glad to see you here. We were talking about your show with Bryant. Folks, go check that out on her channel. And if you would, Miriam, give us a mention on where that it's out on YouTube or out on YouTube, but give us the name of your channel so people can go find that. It was really cool. It's about an hour long with Brian Arnold and really good. So yeah, I got a chance. I didn't get to watch it live, but I watched it today, actually earlier today, or finished watching it earlier today. But go check that out, folks. Really good information, and he answered a lot of questions. So really cool. So share that if you would. Okay, so and here's another interesting little graphic or a bit of data that Eric had from the GPS, and right at the boundary. This is what's so cool about this is that I mean they've kind of mapped this out. So you talk about this 2,000 in diameter, or I'm sorry, radius of this bubble, and they were kind of calling it that. And we're going, okay, 2,000 feet, maybe it's 1789, who knows? All right. But they've mapped it out and they're showing this 2,000 foot. And yet every time they reach that 2,000 foot, then you start getting, there's red in there. There's a data, and the drone simply could not go past this and return to home. Again,
yep.
repeatability. And I watched in the command center when uh, Eric was talking about this, and he mentioned the fact that it happened like every single time because Jim launched his drone several times throughout the night, And it happened like every single time he reached the boundary. They either got data corruption or they got it refusing to go forward.
Yep.
That's pretty nuts, in my opinion. This shot here, I know you really can't see that very well, but believe it or not, that's a blue laser beam shooting up there. This was really kind of weird, and I still can't wrap my brain around this exactly as to what was happening here. Um, uh, Travis and Thomas report the green laser from the drill site as seen from HS2, Homestead 2. The drill site, Mesa drill site laser, the green was gone. They couldn't see the green. And then you have Eric looking at it from the command center, and he could only see the green. Well, you can see the red back there behind it too. You can barely see the red. You can see it right running right alongside there, but he doesn't see the blue. You don't see the blue. But so the camera is picking up different than what the eyes on the ground are seeing. And then right after that, the green goes out and you have just the red. Now, was this because the laser cannons were shutting down, the different color ones were shutting down? Or was this some kind of a blockage of the green? So I don't know. What do you make of all that, Mike? Was it just simply because they were shutting down, or what was your thoughts?
Yeah. So of course it's Skinwalker Ranch, so you don't know it because we know that they have had cases where when they had the Black Hawk helicopter overhead, the guys out in the field said the lights on the Black Hawk went off, and Eric at the command center said no, they didn't. So it went behind something that blocked the light from its navigation lights between it and the guys on the ground, but not in the direction of the command center and whichever camera Eric was looking at. We know stuff like that happens. So it could be, that the bubble is acting like a filter and it's filtering out certain wavelengths.
Yeah.
Or it could be that the lasers got skinwalkered and just quit functioning.
Yeah. There was one point where Travis actually asked the guys on the radio, "Are you guys shutting these down and not telling us? Or is something else happening?" They said, "No, we are not shutting anything down." Now, I'm assuming that there's a fail-safe, like some of the can lights in the ceiling, especially the old can lights, not the new LED style, but the old can lights, where if it reached a certain temperature, it would shut itself off so that it didn't cause a fire.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking might have been happening out at that ranch that the Beyond Skinwalker it was happening when they were in the kitchen and those can lights were shutting down. I don't know. Is that the case or not? Don't know. But I thought, is that what's happening to these lasers? But there was actually someone who said, I think it was Tim himself from New Salt said it is not because they're overheating. At least early in the show when he mentioned that. They're not overheating. So we take his word for that it's not overheating. So why were they shutting down?
They never came up with a reason why. So like I said, I think they just got skinwalkered and stopped quit working.
Yep.
And I don't know if they will, because I would be willing to bet that they took those off ranch and tested them again, and they worked just fine.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
as most of the equipment does when they take it off the ranch.
That makes it really hard to troubleshoot when it starts working again just fine. That's why the ranch just drives me crazy. It's not consistent.
Yeah.
So,
just like remember the telescope experiment that happened. That was pretty interesting. One of the things that was mentioned also, as they launch the rocket, Jim's drone is stopped by the boundary. That was actually mentioned as they launched the rocket. Jim's drone is reaching the boundary and it's stopped. And so the question arises, at least to me anyway, did the rocket activate the bubble to stop the drone? What do you guys think in the chat about that question? Or do you have a different take on that or different question about that? Did the rocket or the things that they're doing maybe cause the bubble to actually start uh, stopping the drone from entering? I don't know. Something that, these questions pop into my head as we're going along through the show like that. And I'm like, man, what is happening here? The blob seems to be particular adverse to the laser. Maybe that's why I go back with that experiment. They kind of did it tonight. We'll get there in a bit, but I was talking about an experiment last week with when Caleb was here, and you seen him, holding over his mouth like he didn't want to say something. Uh, but we'll get to that. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit there in my thought process. This was just a cool picture. I just love this. This is looking at one of the laser beams shooting up there, and I just love that shot. This is about the time as the guys are going to the Mesa drill site and getting ready to fire off their next rocket. That they start hearing one of their gamma radiation detectors going off, beeping wildly. And as they should, Travis immediately saw that and said, "Everybody, get out of here! Everybody, load up, clear this area, get out of this area immediately," which is absolute protocol for such things. Um, he was very adamant about that. Everybody, get out. He's looking at this here, and you see that screen right there, an average of 785 CPM on there. So, and that's as you heard Eric say, that's reaching dangerous levels. So clear the area, get out of that area. As the guys are in the vehicle and they're driving towards the triangle, I believe it was, he said, "It's following us. It's staying with us," because while he was holding this in his hand, it was continuing to read very high numbers of radiation, scary numbers. And here, this picture here, and they highlighted the Jeep, as it's heading over towards the triangle. And when they get there, um, then when they reach the triangle, that laser that was there shuts down. Correlation does not equal causation. Why? You talk about it's following us. They get over to the triangle, and the triangle's laser shuts down. Coincidence? Interesting. Now we know. Go ahead. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Nope, I just agreeing. But it was good to see their reaction to that after what happened to the calf last year.
Yeah.
And knowing too what happened to Thomas and to Travis, they definitely take those readings very, very seriously, which you have to.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was good to see him bug out.
Yeah, they had to, absolutely had to bug out. So they get over there, and that one shuts down. They finally come to the realization that it must have been EMI, electromagnetic interference, that was causing that to go off. Is he holding the instrument in the same hand as he touched the green goo? Did he touch the green goo this time? I don't know, but that's that's funny. I like that. But they realized that it was probably EMI interference that was affecting that gamma detector. And my question again pops up: what caused this? At the same point of this all happening, another UAP shows up, and this one here is one that the guys they're standing at the one of the tents and they're looking back to the south, and they see this come down out of the sky, and they said it's heading right towards the command center, and then it blinks out. This is just a quick shot. I mean, it was fast coming down. It almost looked like to me a shooting star, almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It
You know,
did
and
kind of look like that.
it did kind of look that way to me.
Yep.
Whether it was or not, we don't know, because obviously they can't capture it. But it looked like it was coming down towards the command center. So you have these things happening at the same time. Those guys show up over there at the triangle. The triangle's laser space cannon shuts down, and then boom, they get a UAP shows up all at the same time.
Yep.
I don't know. Did it cause what caused the electromagnetic interference? Was it the UAP? Were they being spoofed? Were they being spoofed so they would clear the area and get out of there? I don't know. Was it a meteorite? It might have been. That's what we were saying. A shooting star or something was looked like it was just cruising by there. Could the bubble be like a control tower for UAP going in and out of the mesa? If a rocket is fired, the bubble may activate to stop incoming traffic so it does not get hit by the rocket. I can't say you're wrong, Constance. That's a great comment or good question. It kind of seems that way. Again, with the correlation of these things happening all at the same time or within a sequence of things happening. I don't know. It's crazy.
That EMI interference, by the way, could be the cause of many things that's going on there. Everybody, we've seen how many times they've had battery drain, and there's always, I think, some assumptions of why that tends to happen, but the batteries are running electronics, right? So there's no reason that some kind of EMI radiation or signals couldn't be disrupting the circuitry and causing battery drain. There's usually still a reason why that happens if you trace it down. I know they did that in one case, but that interference of the electronics themselves could even be causing some of the issues that happens with the LiDAR, the terrestrial LiDAR, or the LiDAR that's on the drones. And so we don't know. But it's interesting that that they were able to kind of narrow it down that it wasn't actually real radiation, but something was affecting the sensor to make it think that there was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what's causing the EMI?
Right.
Electromagnetic interference. What's causing it? If these things are being affected by that, what is causing it? We don't have an answer to that question yet. And neither does the team at this point. Here's looking at those two different screens on the gamma, the radiation detectors. That one's hitting, 1900, which is lethal levels, and the other one's showing 20. So what they did was they broke them up and they handed one to Chris in the other vehicle to have in his hands, and then the other one was in the Jeep with Travis and Thomas. So they could, and they were talking back and forth about what they were reading, and they were both starting to read about the same at that point. So there was the fear of the radiation exposure was out at that point. So, which is good. But they did the absolute correct thing by getting the heck out of there at that time. um, yeah, they had to. This was the interesting point, and this is why I made this as my um, picture for the thumbnail for tonight's podcast, because this picture right here blows me away. Absolute blows me away. This. I, and the other thing, I'm looking at in this in the screen, I'm assuming that's a star, um, because they didn't mention it. They didn't say, "Oh, look at that thing too." It's over there moving. So I'm assuming it's a star of some sort in this picture. Um, but folks, yes, thank you, Coach. Is that part of his phone?
Yeah, I think that's like the camera, front-facing camera on his cell phone.
Yeah, the front-facing camera on the phone, probably. Um,
They really didn't focus on that part at all.
They
It was
didn't focus on that part at
the
all, so I'm
streak.
thinking it was part of his phone, so I'm going back to just this. Um, what in the heck is that?
I mean, it looks like it's self-luminous. It almost looks like almost kind of like a comet where it's brighter on the right side and then it's got a tail to the left,
Yeah,
or like the afterburner on a jet. Um, it doesn't seem to be necessarily a reflection of the lasers. Um, Maybe it's getting light from the lasers, but it's spreading it out 90 degrees from the direction of the laser. So that doesn't make sense. So yeah, it almost looks like it had its own light. Did
yeah,
And he said he just snapped that picture with his phone and just happened to catch that. They didn't
yeah,
see anything go shooting through,
right.
did they? At that point, I don't.
No, 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 nope,
So
nope. He was just
again,
taking a picture.
what are the odds that his camera saw that and they didn't, or that he caught it right at that particular moment?
Yep.
Um, Assuming it was flying through and it's not just sitting there.
Yeah,
If it was sitting there, you would
exactly.
have thought they would have seen it. But
Right.
again, cameras, even on cell phones, can see a little bit different, a little bit outside the wavelength of what the human eye can see. So it may be picking up on some other wavelengths just outside of visible light, normal visible light.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, that was pretty impressive.
Mhm. Yeah, very, very impressive. This one kind of blew me away, especially when we get to the analysis and the control in the command center. Um, yeah, we'll get there in a minute, and you'll see. By the way, that's Linda helping out. Christina has been popping in and out because her internet connection is awful. She's on a different one than I am, and it's bad too. So Linda has stepped in. Thank you very much. Linda has stepped in to help moderate, and I appreciate you very, very much for doing that. So thank you. So we don't know, when you see a message pop up, we don't know if it's Linda or it's Christina. So at this point, but thank you both for trying. So yeah, very, very interesting, picture snap there. And there's another shot of it there too. So and you see it affecting the red. I'm going to assume this is the red and the blue kind of mixed together from that angle, because
Yeah,
you got a three going up in a triangle. And so maybe you're mixing the two, but look how it's not affected the green.
yeah.
Is it that
Almost looks
thin?
like it doesn't go through the green,
Right.
like
And
it's
it's kind
it's
of yellow on
broken.
this side, but it's blue sticking out on that side. That
Yeah.
color picture is just wild to me.
Did they say what height they thought that was?
No, I don't recall. Does anybody remember that in the chat? I don't recall them saying how high up the off the ground that was. I don't recall that. That's a good question to maybe ask them if they knew. Do we know what the altitude of the anomaly was? Appears to be going through the lasers. Good thought. Like mine, son, Jim. Orb went through the laser. I think so, John. I think something went through it. And if it wasn't it wasn't a bird or anything like that. So what the heck was that? Yeah, I don't think they said Constance either. I really don't. I don't think they did. That's crazy though, folks. That to me, that is absolute nuts. Okay, here's a shot looking at the again the data anomalies happening, data corruption happening right at the boundary. This is the GPS data on the drone going bad right at the anomaly, and these are the and I it was it called raster lights
Hmm.
beams raster beams.
Yeah, a raster is just something that scans consecutively, kind of like an old CRT tube, the old TVs. Um, those were rasters where it would start from the top and scan down, kind of like maybe a inkjet printer. It goes
Yeah,
one line at a time, back and forth. So, yep,
yep, that's cool. Yeah, good. This is where I would. And by the way, Michelle made a very good statement there. Or as powerful as those lasers are, most everything would have burned going through that light.
yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go through it. That would be detrimental to uh, flesh, I would think, at some point. But yeah, so you're right. At least I would think so. I don't know. I don't know much about these laser beams, but I would think so too. But yeah, so this is where Tatiana, thank you so much. What kind of EM interference would a wormhole cause? Dowsing rods confirmed a wormhole above the triangle at Skinwalker Ranch. Yep.
yeah. I
I
don't know
I
what
don't
kind of
know
EMI comes from a wormhole.
from a wormhole. But you know what? I mean, if there is
It's a good
if there
question.
is an active wormhole, you would get the passing of stuff through that from one side to the other. Is it likely that that was it? Maybe. Can't rule that out either. And you remember, if you talk and you remember the pictures of the LiDAR that has been taken in this area of the triangle time and time again, showing that red, orange, yellow, orange, red, and then black center on the one LiDAR. And then the other LiDAR that Jim Royston and them got showing that like it looked like a wormhole. It looked like a traversable wormhole of some sort. And that's yes. The wormhole is at the same spot as the bubble. Yeah, that's the well, we say wormhole. The LiDAR images of something that appeared to look like a wormhole was at the triangle. Yes.
Yeah.
But we can't call it a wormhole because we don't know what that is, if that's what it is. But and by the way, thank you, Tatiana. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. So these lasers, this is where I had brought up. This is an idea that I had about another experiment was to take these laser space cannons and spread them around the, the exterior on the outside of the 2,000-foot bubble boundary, and all point them all towards a central point. Get them up off the ground a ways. Get them up in the air a little ways. If you can put them 30 feet, that would be really cool, huh? 30 feet. But get them up in the airways and point them towards a central point at the triangle on a painted 4x8 sheet of plywood or something, and have them all point at that same area and turn them on and see what happens. But you don't want to burn a hole in the, if it gets that hot,
It would.
burn
You
a
might want to
hole in it.
use a steel or something.
Maybe steel would be better. Yeah, it might burn a hole in that.
Yeah.
But something to point them at the same point, all of them, and see how it affects. That was my experiment idea, and that's what I was talking about when Caleb said, he couldn't talk because he knew this was coming. This right here, which is similar to what my idea was. So they're shooting it from the south tower towards the into the bubble area. And Eva Gray, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Um, so here's that happening, something similar to that happening right here. That's what they're doing. And while this is all taking place, and you can see the green, if you can see that green right there on the mesa, that is the what's happening with the raster beams going back and forth and doing their thing. And they fired off a rocket. Um, they do the third launch and to see what happens. And at that point, once they started the raster beams, no more anomalies were observed by the crew on the ground. At that point, it was pretty much a quiet night as far as visual or equipment malfunctioning. I would say too, because they said there was pretty much quiet from that point on. They didn't have any weird issues going on. Um, so here's another shot of the raster beams going. That cool. Can you imagine living near the ranch and on a peaceful night while you're,
Yeah.
having a little backyard fire going on, and you're with your friends, and all of a sudden you see all these beams and lights flashing. Oh, there they go again over there
Yep.
at the
Right.
ranch.
Yeah. Yep.
But you know what? If I did live that close, I'd be scanning the skies for something weird to be going on.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. When they get to the command center, and this was something that happened, and my pictures were a little out of sequence here, but before they get to the command center, this is when Caleb was watching the drone with the FLIR, the thermal imaging camera, and he's watching the drone flying along. And unfortunately, I didn't have a video. The video was awesome on this, by the way, to watch. And hey, leave that message up there, and I'll, as soon as I finish my thought. And so you see it coming, and it's moving, and right when it gets to the boundary, it poofs. Look at that. See this rise up above here? It kind of just dissipates like a ball of dust hitting a wall. It just poof. Why? Why does stuff like that happen? What would in the world would cause this?
Yeah. That
Um,
was
and
that
yet,
was
yeah,
crazy.
cool.
I,
Yeah, Mike.
they,
Anybody in the chat have a thought about why this would happen? Go ahead, Mike.
yeah. And Caleb said last week that it wasn't that the drone had gotten far enough away that it got down to being such a small speck on the screen that it just lost visibility of it because it was too far away. He said it was still well within range, and it looked like, yeah, it just goes poof, like it went through a membrane of some kind at the bubble boundary.
Yep.
That would be a fantastic thing to try and replicate and get some repeatability on that. Um, that is crazy,
It
crazy evidence
is.
that there's something at that range while they're doing this stuff.
Yeah, Kelly said my husband said it looked like the drone went through a waterfall. Yes.
Yeah,
Something
that's
like
good
that. Yeah.
description too.
Did they lose that drone? No, they didn't lose it. It wasn't lost. It just the thermal
Didn't.
showed this.
Yeah.
Poof. Cloaking? I don't know. Something weird going on. Michelle Stratton says, then there was the time when Jay Stratton, was out with his DIA guys years ago, shining a laser pointer at the mesa, and they all saw different shaped lights reflected back. Each of them saw different shapes reflected back. That's crazy. Now, that means that each person's perception of the reflected back was different. And why? Why would that happen? Why would they all see something different? Nice question, Jim. Were they green lasers by chance? I believe it was green. Oh my gosh. Ask Jay if he remembers, Michelle, because that would be data right there. If it was green, I'm telling you, it gets crazier and crazier every week. In the command center, they're going through Jim Royston's and maybe this is that HDMI cable that we were thinking that might be plugged into that. Stay tuned for the book. Oh, Michelle, I am so waiting for this book, this
Can
mysterious
we
book
get
that's
that
supposed
this
to be
week,
coming.
please?
Yeah, is that coming this week? Can I download that? Who's narrating it, by the way? Is anybody doing an
Ooh.
audiobook on that? I know somebody that would love to. If not, if Jay doesn't want to do it, I'm sorry. Yeah. When they were analyzing the captured video that is on Jim Royston's hand controller, might be that HDMI cable that we were talking about. I got two pictures on this. I'll go back and forth, but looking down here with this red circle this is the drone's point of view or something, I forget, going on here, and it shows, you see this vertical line running across here. The screen picture up here looked very steady as far as I could tell,
Yeah.
but the drone, as they had said on the show, looked like it was going through a daggone windstorm. It was being bounced around and whoops, jostled all over the place. Look at the change in that. That's horizontal level right there, that
Right.
those green lines.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's pointing up, and here it's pointing down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I mean, it's going all over the place. Remember
Yeah.
what?
The
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to
Uh,
say, Eric had mentioned last week about how the drone didn't know where it was when it was trying to go into it, and it didn't know where it was. Go ahead.
yeah. The camera that we usually watch is on a gimbal that's
Mhm.
designed specifically to stabilize the image.
Yes. Thank you.
And so it's interesting because you forget that the drone is having to do all sorts of, like, if you have, say, a drone that looks like something like this, it's having to stabilize itself while that camera is perfectly steady, and it's going to continue to look at where you're aiming the camera. But if there's wind, it's got to do that and go forward or back. Um, this is happening all by itself. So what is causing the drone to be so unstable and having to, I mean, it's rocking quite a bit. If
Yep.
it's at the moment right now, it's pointing below the horizon. So it's pointing tipped more forward. And when that line goes below the crosshair, it means it's tipped up and looking above the horizon, to try and continue going where it's going, or do what it's supposed to, based on where he's sending it. You lose that amount. You lose the instability or the amount of buffeting or buffering that it's receiving, because that gimbal is so proficient at keeping the camera stabilized, which
Right.
is what it's supposed to do. So it's very
Yeah.
expensive,
Exactly. Yeah.
expensive
It's
drone.
almost like the drone is fighting to keep itself onto its
Yeah,
programmed course or the course that the controller is sending it on. It's
right.
fighting to get back to it, and it can't. That's crazy. I just it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Um, so there was that. There was that. Uh, this is the data. They showed the drone data. It was in yellow from the GPS. It was yellow. The blue here is from the Jeep, from Travis's Jeep. And yes, there's a lot of dropouts inside the bubble area as they drove towards the triangle. But you see this spot over here in the beginning on the left where it completely lost the data points, went somewhere else completely. Um, and I don't have a picture of it. At least I don't think I do. But some of them were underground. Again, underground. Why? Again, it's that um, it can't. It's not going to track it underground, obviously, but um, we talk about that time delay or a time shift, either too soon or too late. That I was talking about with Eric at one point. It works on time. You could probably explain this better, Mike, but it works on that time. So it's either too soon or too late, right? The response.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Eric has explained that the red dots could signify that what you just described is that the signal has come, at the wrong time, or it's taking longer or shorter than it should. But it could also just be corrupted data,
Right.
that it's garbled. So there's nothing to display. It doesn't know what to do there,
Right.
which they've been seeing that start to happen as well. So
Yeah. Exactly. Crazy stuff. And speaking of I'm sorry, Jay Stratton. They did a look back at 2022 when Jay was out at the ranch. And they went out and he said, stop right here. And he walked them out to where the tree was. We've talked about this a little bit last week, where the tree was, where they were walking back when they were there years ago. And him and his DIA crew were walking along the road right there. And they got to that tree and they were all kind of very disturbed by what was happening. I'm not going to try to explain because I really don't know. He explained it during that episode. If you want to go back and watch it again, I would do a terrible job trying to repeat what he said. He also described it as the data being rewritten with characters we don't have. That was talking about the corrupted data. Coach, thanks, Coach. But yeah, Jim, you recognize him? Jim's tree on the edge of the bubble. Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And or Jay's tree at the edge of the bubble. So, and he had that experience where they did not want to go forward. They didn't want to keep walking because they felt something terrible within them, all of the guys, and they didn't want to go forward. So this point right here is where that tree is and is where that happened to him, and that feeling that they had. It's also just before you get to Homestead 2 there, it's also where this happened. Um,
the J data,
and that, yeah,
that was when
uh,
they had him on the ranch.
yes. And data corruption, the data time lag, whatever you want to call it. Um, it was went way below the ground. And yes, John, it made a giant J in the data. Uh,
Coincidences take lots of planning. That's what I say.
I yeah. Okay. What can you make of that? I just don't know. Uh, yeah. You know, um, people would say watching this, some people would say that, oh, they made that up. They did all this just to make it spooky. They did all this to try to say something. And I say to those people, you're an idiot. Um, because I believe in the entire, I've said this before, I believe in the integrity of these guys. Eric, Travis, Thomas, Caleb, Dragon, all of them. Every one of these guys, I believe in their integrity. They would not make this up. And if they've said, if we was going to make something up, it wouldn't be this. Um, uh,
Yeah,
I yeah, I'm at a loss for more words on it, and
yep,
that's something for me. Okay, so then we get to the point of the missing stream in the laser space cannons.
yep.
Um, and if you recall, this has happened before, and it's in the green laser. The blue one is not affected. The red one is not affected. Only the green. There's a long shot of it right there. How high up is it? I don't know that they said. Again, I don't think that they mentioned how high up this was. You can see the top of the mesa right there in the corner down here, the top of the mesa. So
Yeah.
1,000 feet, 2,000, pretty close to 2,000, I would think. And then you've got last season. Remember that, folks? Only the green is affected and not all of the green, because this one is still. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to let Mike kind of talk about the visual bit about it. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So when we talked about this last year, we kind of said that the laser starts or stops and starts, but Eric made a very good distinction, and it certainly doesn't diminish the odd nature of the effect. But when you have that the laser, let me go this way. Um,
Hold on, let me
when you
put you
have
in.
the laser, we talked about how. Can you still see it? I don't see it as well. We talked about how you would only be able to see the laser if there were particles, dust in the air to reflect it so that you could see the beam itself. Otherwise, all you can see is where it starts and where it stops. So what we're seeing that in that break area is no particulates to reflect on. That's very different than the beam going up, stopping, and starting again and continuing. But then that begs the question, what is causing there to not be any particulate? Those were both long exposure pictures. So the camera, the lens of the camera was open for an extended period of time, and it showed that there was nothing at all, like you could say it would be similar to a vacuum in that very boxy angular region. There was nothing for the laser to reflect off of. That makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. And that's in this region right here. So, but yet it didn't affect the blue. And now I don't know if the
Yeah,
blue in this case is in front of whatever is causing this or behind it. I
they were
thought
in a.
it
It
was,
was in a ring. They were in
yeah,
a
they were in
circle.
a ring. So I thought it was behind it. Um,
Yeah, it was kind of a mix. I think the two that you see there in the middle, the two blue that are in the
yeah,
middle, were on the back side.
yeah, that's what I thought
So
too. Yeah,
yeah, you're seeing through whatever was there,
right,
causing there not to be anything to reflect off of
right.
in the broken section.
So if something was there, it's not blocking it because the beam continues
Continues.
on top. It's simply not allowing any dust or anything to be picked up in that box area.
It's displacing all particulates in the air in that section
In
of
that
the laser.
section.
So there's
Think
nothing to
about that,
see. There's
folks.
nothing to reflect to be able to see the beam.
Right. So if it needs to reflect and hit and reflect off of dust to see the beam in that section of the green lasers, there's no dust to reflect the beam light.
Yeah,
How is that? How is that possible?
seems to be, again, a correlation with that wavelength of the color green. But
Yeah, what
what
you
that
said
is,
is kind of in
uh,
the middle of the spectrum
right?
of color
Yeah,
spectrum.
it is. So I, I don't know what that is, or if, like I said, if the guys or Eric or Travis have any theories on why that wavelength is affected and not the others. I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah. Sabamba, Yes, I agree with you on that statement there. So why? Why is it only affecting the green?
Right. Yep.
We don't know, but it is. It's only affecting the green. See you later, Miriam. Have a great night. Thanks for coming by. Um, if we could answer this question right here, I think
Yeah.
they would have the answer to a lot of physics,
Yep.
or maybe some physics stuff there that simply doesn't make any sense.
But
So
again, this is one of those things, just like with the other effects that we've seen caused by apparently or potentially caused by the bubble in previous seasons that we didn't know until this season.
yeah,
Um, this is one of those things that you collect the data, you note it. You're missing too many puzzle pieces to understand it, but you hang on to it and you put it on a shelf
right.
and you wait for another puzzle piece to drop in your lap at some date in the future. And maybe then all of this will make perfect sense. Kind of like the bubble is now starting to make sense that it's, pushing the bottles out of the airspace and pushing drones, and there's, issues with GPS at the boundary and all that stuff. So, um, just one more things to add to the mystery of
Yeah,
Skinwalker Ranch.
right. And as Mike was explaining, if you were to take your hand like he did with the beam in his office there, and you put it over that green, if I went in there with my hand and I was able to block that green beam, it would not continue above.
Right.
So whatever was blocking it, it wasn't blocking it. It was preventing the particulate to be picked up in that region, but the beam was allowed to continue going through. You just couldn't see it in that section.
Yep.
That just simply blows my mind. And somebody had said, somebody said, that it was only being able or only affecting the one partially. Yes, because
Yep.
whatever it is there that is causing this, the angle that we're viewing it was only partially blocking or the beam itself. It's only it stops right there into that green beam. It's not going further that way. So that's the edge
Yeah.
of whatever this thing is that's not blocking the beam was be a bad way, but it not allowing particulate in that area. A vacuum, a portal
Yep.
opening. We don't know. There's the two from 2023 and 2024 side by side. It looks like a something, Sharon. You're right. It does.
Yeah. There's definitely something there. There's something going
There's
on in that area.
no
I'd
doubt.
be interested to know if they were at the same altitude.
Ah, yes, I would too. Maybe we'll get some info. Somebody that's going to be at the thing tomorrow night, the Q&A, ask that question, please. Because I will do my best to ask at least one. Okay, so here's another one. This was this part of the time lapse? I think I don't remember if or I forget what uh green laser block. This was another one. If you notice this right here, that little distortion right there in that beam. And this is
Hmm.
looking at all the beams that were on that night. And I don't remember if this was time lapse or not. But yeah, so there it is, a close up. Uh, and I wondered, is this the same instance as what if it was remarkable to catch that photograph when that guy took the picture with his iPhone or a phone and caught that spear thing going through the beam. If this was the same or not, I don't know. But uh, yeah, Eric. Okay, Eric said it was a long exposure. Yeah, they said they saw this as being like a cube. Um, I don't see a cube there necessarily, but It looks
I
like a
think
cube on some of the other pictures.
if it, if you think of it more like a diamond, maybe
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
cube on its side, or
Yes.
not on its
There you
side,
go.
but tipped 45 degrees.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that I can see because you got some sharp edges here, straight
Yeah,
lines. This blows my mind. It really, truly
crazy.
blows my mind. Yeah, yeah. So a cube tilted. Thank you, Angie. Yeah. Looks like a metallic-like orb caught the game camera on S4. Oh yeah, yeah. Wow. I I'm I don't know, folks. I'm at a loss. It's yeah, it's Mork's egg, Nanu Nanu. That's what that uh yeah, the one that was caught on the game cam in that field. That thing was that was wild. That was also a very very interesting picture. Um, yeah, and then to wrap it up, Eric had, and I don't have a video on this to show the motion, but Eric had shown these these two orbs coming through the sky, and again that they are always checking the ADSB. They're always looking for flashing lights or flapping wings or anything like that. But you saw these two orb like lights in the sky moving. One was obviously brighter than the other, but the one on the bottom faded out. And then eventually the brighter one on top faded out as well, moving from left to right, going kind of downward across the screen. Um, yeah, more UAPs or orbs or whatever you want to call it. Um, this is crazy. I mean, I, every episode of this show just simply uh, blows my mind with this information, the stuff that's going on. I just, you know, when Pete Kelsey talks about brown socks, it just seems like every time these guys are doing these experiments, this kind of stuff happens, and it's just crazy. Um, something that Eric had said, and um, I liked what he, and I don't remember if this was, I think this was with Maddie Blake in the Behind the Gates. Um, he said, number one, message received. Number two, challenge accepted. You're a brave man, Eric Bard. Oh, message received, challenge accepted. Oh my gosh. Mike, I don't know. What's your final thoughts on all of this?
This ranch drives me crazy. Just do
Oh,
not get what the heck is going on there.
I don't
That is
either.
crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how anybody could watch this show and not be as mind blown as we all are watching this unfold, these experiments. And it's in this season. I remember the guys at Phenomenon last year walking around and wishing so badly that they could talk about what's happening because they were filming at
Yeah.
that time of Phenomenon.
Yeah.
They were getting ready to wrap up. So most of this stuff had already happened um, at that point when they were at Phenomenon. I remember their faces and they wanted so badly to talk about it and they couldn't, obviously, but they did say, hang on to your hat.
Yeah.
Um, and this season has delivered
Just
time and
keeps
time
getting
again.
better.
It does just keep getting better. So yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up with that, guys. Thank you all so very much for joining us here tonight. We're going to do our very best. I am going to still be here next week. I am going over to Mel Fisher. If you know who Mel Fisher is the gentleman who found the Spanish galleon shipwreck, the Atocha, off the Keys in South Florida. I think back in the 80s or 90s, the 80s, I think it was. He found the Atocha, and he had the rights to salvage rights to get all the stuff off of him. And they are having in Sebastian, they have a museum there with a lot of the artifacts there. They also have one down in Key West, but the one in Sebastian, Florida, is having Mel Fisher Days this coming weekend. And we're going to that. Christina and I are going to be going down to that. We're leaving tomorrow to head down, and it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. If anybody's going to be around the area, if you're in Florida or anything like that, and you have the opportunity to come and check it out, please go. And if you happen to be there and you see me, come up and say hi. I'd love to meet you. We're going to be there. We're going to be talking with Melvin Apt, who is I actually know his title there. He is the grandson, I believe, Mel Fisher's grandson, and he is there. He's working. He'll be there, and also I know that Captain Vince will be there from the Magruder, the ship that takes him out, or the boat that takes him out there to dive on the Atocha. He's going to be there. Some of his crew will be there. There's going to be a bunch of different people. It's in Sebastian, Florida. Yeah, Taffy Apt, Mel's daughter. Yep, his mom is Taffy. He will be there. This is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Day after tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. If you're in the area, if you can come by, check it out. It's going to be a great time. They got stuff going on. There's going to be a treasure hunt. You know, they're going to be doing some stuff. Mel Fisher Days, yeah. So I'll be down there for that. And then next week we'll be back over here. We're going to do our best with our internet connection. I apologize again for the fuzziness of it, but yeah, I'm fighting with internet connections here. So, but I was very happy to be able to put this together and be on, do this show. So we're going to do again next week. Mike, hang in there. We're going to do our best to put this together again for next week, because I don't want to miss these shows happening. A lot of fun. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, you got clear here just right at the very end.
Oh, well, there you go. I got clear right at the end. All right. So with that, folks, thank you very much for watching with us tonight. We appreciate it very much. And like I said at the beginning, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And also, if you like the content of the show that Mike and I, along with our help with Linda and Christina, that we've done for you here tonight, please consider giving us a thumbs up, a thank you, or a like, I should say. There's the dog. They like it. The dogs love the show. So I tell you what, if dogs love it, then cats too, you know, we're in, right? So, all right. Thank you very much, folks. And we'll catch you next time right here on the Freeman Files on the J Free 906 podcast channel. Good night.